All right, so we'll kick off in just... So if anyone has any questions, I mean, I'm sure you guys have questions, so just start punching them into the chat box, and I'll answer those as they come through. But in the meantime, just wanted to go over a few of the fundamentals while I wait for some of your awesome questions to come through. So basically, I assume that you guys have been filling out your product launch workbook with your own opportunities and using the product selection tool and the profit estimator to calculate, what sort of profit margins you might be making, and the daily sales goal calculator. So I assume you guys have been jumping in and using that. And once you find some opportunities, so that's a yes from Passy, awesome. And once you find some opportunities, the next natural progression is to jump over to Alibaba and just start messing around and seeing what's available in terms of suppliers for that product. So let's say your product was, looking around the room that I'm in currently, novelty hats. I see a weird novelty hat. So let's say that's your product. Simply go to Alibaba, type it in, and just start browsing around in terms of what's available. That's generally my first step when I feel like a product has some legs. I'll jump over here and we see some pretty crazy hats. We got the roast chicken hat and some cool beanies. We got a jester. We got a shark attack. All sorts of cool stuff. The Irish hat there. So, all right, Aiden's getting back in. Let me know if you can hear me now, Aiden. All right, so yeah, so we basically just browse around here, and that's always my first step, and just figuring out what price points we might be looking at. Welcome, Mick. And once we see some interesting ideas, it's just about jumping in, having a look at the specifics of the product. So if your product was novelty roast chicken hats, which I've already taken that product, so don't you guys dare jump in and start selling these. Not really. So you just browse through, and then obviously you want to punch in, send off your email to find out the MOQs and the price per unit, etc. So I assume you guys have all been playing with a bit of this stuff. All right, cool. Aiden's got audio. Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, so we're just basically re-going over the fundamentals, guys, and feel free to start punching in your questions at any moment at your discretions, and I'll jump into those. But in the meantime, just going over, basically how to go to Alibaba and search around, which I'm sure you guys are fairly familiar with at this point, but just pays to drill on the fundamentals so you guys really have those nailed. And another good site is 1688, but you'll notice with 1688 that it's in a funny language, and it's tough to navigate a little bit. There is an option generally to translate it, but it's still pretty hard to sort of navigate in terms of someone who speaks English as a first language. So this is where Alice will do a lot of searching for us. So Mick's back in. Let me know if you can hear me, Mick. Just again, this will be recorded, guys, so if you're missing out on the start, it's not a big deal. All right, so we've got a question from Nina. Awesome. How do you track how many hours your man on the ground actually works? We use Alice too. Cool. Yeah, so inside of Upwork, they will generally track this sort of stuff for you. And basically that's your best bet. In terms of working with Alice, I've found her incredibly honest, and she's never once tried to overcharge. In fact, I gave her a job yesterday, and in my opinion, drastically undercharged. I was just baffled at how quick she got it done in terms of hours. But it's a good question though. So inside of Upwork, you can click on an option to track the employee's progress, and it will basically take screenshots of the work they've been doing. So that's probably the best way to do that. But I definitely wouldn't worry in terms of working with Alice. But in the future, if you're working with someone new, then yeah, there's definitely ways to check that inside of Upwork. All right, so Mick seems to be having a bit of trouble. Did that sort of answer your question, Nina? Cool, awesome. And just while I have a sec, I'll just say thanks for being flexible, guys. Last week I was a little bit unwell last week, and I've also been moving house over the last couple of weeks, so it's been a lot going on. So I'll just wait for another question. Sorry, all right, I just got a text from Mick. There is no sound. All right, so I'm just going to quickly text Mick that he needs to allow audio sharing. All right, cool. Any more questions? What do we got? What is your experience with shipment by sea? Okay, cool. All right, I think I also skipped a question. When she pays courier fees, does she add those to her hours? No. So Alice will pay the fees, but then she'll get you to reimburse her, basically. So she'll say, okay, the shipment fees from China to Australia was, $68.70, and please pay me that via PayPal. So generally, I've just paid it directly to Alice. In terms of the shipping from China to Australia. In terms of shipping from the supplier to Alice, generally you'll pay the supplier directly, and it's normally a very small fee because it's just China to China. So it might be, $8, $10, whatever it is, to ship the products from the Chinese factory to Alice's premise in China. Sometimes they'll actually do it free too. So what do we got? I've had a few come through. No worries. What is your experience with shipment by sea? Yeah, so I've launched a couple of products with shipment by sea, and my experience is it's cheaper. It's a lot more work, so that's kind of the pros and cons, and it takes a lot longer. So if you have a product that's a little bit bigger, sometimes you have no option but to ship it by sea. But I always recommend for a first product, try and avoid it like the plague. Not quite like the plague, but just try and find a product that you don't have to ship by sea, at least for your first shipment, if nothing else. So if you can find a product that you figure maybe in the long run it's going to make more sense to ship it by sea. But if you can afford to ship it by air, even for that first shipment, so you can just get started quicker and not have to worry about all those logistics initially. But these days, some of the freight forwarders are a lot better than they used to be. So when I started shipping by sea a few years ago, the logistics were like a real nightmare. But these days, there's a number of different places. I think I would have given you guys some referrals there. There's Shapiro, I think they're called Interlog is a good one. Lucky Freights. Is Mick back in? Hopefully Mick can hear me now. So working with a freight forwarder and shipping by sea is generally fairly seamless these days. It's not as hard as it used to be. But as I say, if you can avoid it, definitely try and avoid it for your first product. If you have any more specific questions around it, you can ask me that too. All right, where are we? We've had a few come through. No, I've gone too far. We got heaps cheaper quotes so far for that. And how long does it roughly take compared to shipment by air? Yeah, so it's basically shipment by air is going to take you roughly a week. Shipment by sea can take anywhere from, in my experience, 6 to 8 weeks. Awesome. Mick said working now. Cool. So it's a pretty massive difference, and you might think, well, I can wait those extra 5 weeks or whatever, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, but just think you've got to do that every single time. So it's not just for that first shipment, it's for every single shipment. So that means basically ordering way in advance for every single shipment. So when you have your first shipment land in America at Amazon, you've almost got to straight away start thinking about ordering your second shipment. Well, in fact, you do have to straight away start thinking about it. And that's been the massive problem for me, was that you have to have up to 3 shipments going at once. So you have to have one being manufactured, you have to have one on the ocean, and you have to have one at Amazon, because there's just such a long delay between ordering it and it actually being ready for sale at Amazon. So that's kind of the problem there.
Look, sorry to interrupt for that, but I have a quick question on that. Like, if you do the first shipment by sea, then you could do one in between by air. Right?
Yes. Yep.
Because we looked at a product and it was like $5 to $6 cheaper each product to sell it by ship.
Mm-hmm.
By air. So I thought, like, let's do the first one by ship. We get 6 to 8 weeks for that. That's all right. But if it's going really fast and you sell really good, then you do 1 or 2 by sea, which covers you the waiting time for the next shipment by ship. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. So you're saying first one by air, second one by sea? Was that what you said? Sorry.
No. First one by
reverse.
Sea, then you have to wait 6 to 8 weeks for that. But if it sells really good, then you can do the next shipment by air.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. That's definitely an option.
And that saves, right? I mean, yeah, you have to wait 6 to 8 weeks. But in our quotation, it saves like $5 to $6 for each product, which is quite a lot of money if you think about it, like 5.
Yeah, absolutely. So that tells me your product's fairly heavy and large. That it's going to cost quite a lot to ship by air. That's what I'm taking from that, which is fine. And just know that there's going to be more delays around that, and I'm guessing when you ship it by air, your profit margin goes pretty slim. Is that fair to say?
Well, not pretty slim. It's still alright, but yeah.
Okay.
You got at that point where it is like, yeah, it's better to ship it by sea. It's still good though if you ship it by air, but yeah, as I said, like $5 for each product, quite a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm happy to wait for 6 to 8 weeks and save that money.
Yep. Yeah, for sure, yeah, and it is a lot of money, and quite often it's worth waiting. But as I say, if you're going to do them all by sea, it can get costly in that you've had to pay for one shipment and it hasn't even sold yet, and now you're paying for another shipment. But yeah, like you said, if the numbers stack up that you can do the second one by air, then yeah, you could probably get around that sort of that hassle by doing that.
All right, thanks.
Cool, man, no probs. But yeah, I just definitely crunch the numbers on, are we still going to make money if we ship it by air for that second shipment? Like, because sometimes you've only got $6-7 profit margin, and then if you're paying an extra $6 for shipping by air, then it's like all of a sudden you're making nothing. So
yeah, no, that's still all good. We still make money if we ship it by air.
Sweet.
Because we crunch it like $6-7 a kilo, which is so good, but it got just cheaper if we send it by ship, but it's still profitable when we do it by
yeah, cool. Yeah, so I'd probably suggest get a quote for both before you commit to anything. So get a quote by air, get a quote by sea, and just sort of map out your strategy before you jump into investing too much.
All right, awesome, thanks.
Cool, no probs. All right, so where are we? All right, Aiden, I've been looking into another product. It's actually a printed product. I have contacted a load of suppliers to send them a few designs to get some samples so I can view the quality. All the suppliers have come back saying they can provide free samples but require ranging from 250 to 700 setup fee just for the sample. I'm just trying to get my head around whether this is a ploy to get money out of me, or suppliers to charge this amount. A setup. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So normally with getting samples, I don't get them to customize the product at all, because they will charge this big fee just to give you that sample. So what I suggest is get them to send a generic sample which has some other print on it for this product. Maybe it has a zebra or a instead of whatever your design is, and then that way you can test the quality, because all you're really caring about is the quality for the sample, quality and the price, and a little bit of the presentation and stuff. But so I definitely suggest don't bother customizing your sample, because otherwise, as you quoted there, you're going to be up for a few $1,000s pretty quickly, just to get a few samples from different suppliers. It sounds like you're going with a more unique sort of product, which is awesome. But I try and lock down on which supplier I want to work with before I'd pay them that customization fee. So test their quality, see if they're good communicators and they're someone you want to work with, and then order that sample after you've sort of established that relationship. That's what I'd recommend. All right, so when you had the packaging done for Vegas Wands, did they charge a similar setup fee when printing the packaging? No. So what we did, as I sort of outlined, we just got them to send out the generic version of the pen, which has just the generic labeling on it. And then once we were happy with the quality of the pen, we said, okay, so how much is it to have our own shipment, private labeled, branded? And it was fairly small fee for each unit. I think we got about 250 units at the time, and it was just a little added fee on top of that initial shipment to have it customized. So does that make sense, Aiden? Yeah, cool, awesome, sweet. Keep the questions coming, guys. There's definitely a lot to learn in these initial stages, and I can tell from some of the messages I've been getting and stuff that you guys, some of you are a little bit sort of overwhelmed, or just taking in a lot of information, and that's totally natural. It's a steep learning curve, and I mean, if it wasn't a steep learning curve, then the rewards would probably not be so good. But I mean, if it was super easy, everyone would do it. So who actually ships the whole order, Alice or supplier? Yeah, that's a good question. So supplier would be the answer to that. Alice arranges the relationship with the supplier, and she'll send out the samples. But in terms of shipping the larger shipment, it's best to just go straight from the supplier to Amazon. That's 9 times out of 10, that's the best way to do it. And so you'll be arranging the shipping with the supplier. Sometimes you can actually use Alice to help with the shipping logistics sometimes. So if the supplier can't arrange shipping for you, then I'll sometimes work with Alice to arrange the shipping. But even then, it will likely still go straight from the supplier to Amazon. Does that make sense, Nina? Yep, cool. Chris, so when you have a second small product, you need to ask your main supplier to add that to your product. Yeah, exactly, yeah. So in terms of the bundling, if you have a second little add-on product, I normally send that one straight to the supplier who manufactures the main product. And obviously I'll warn them first, and I'll discuss it with them before I send it to them. I'll say like, hey, if we were to send this little add-on sponge eraser thing to you guys, are you happy to put it into each package for us? And generally they'll have no problem with that, because they want your business, they want to build a relationship, and just emphasize that you want to, establish a long-term business relationship, and you want to use the second smaller product to make your product stand out in the marketplace, and it's your way of generating higher sales and higher profits and all that sort of stuff. And they should have no problem putting that in. In my experience, they won't charge a fee, but if they do charge a fee, it'll generally be very small. All right, so all packaging. So what does that mean, Chris? Sorry. So when you have a second product, do you need to ask your main supplier to add that to your product or packaging? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I covered that, but if I didn't, just let me know. I've been reading a few stories on The Amazing Seller of people running into issues of hijackers, apparently brand registering through Amazon. Your product helps safeguard your product. At what point can you class your product and brands and able to register it? If you come up with a name and logo for your bundle, is that enough to brand register it? Yeah, basically. My experience with brand registry is that it is a good idea, but I don't do it until I'm live on Amazon and actually selling. I mean, no one can hijack you before you're selling anyway. So yes, I can cover how to do that, probably when you guys are launched and selling, and it's pretty basic. There's instructions on how to do it inside the Amazon Seller Central. So basically, they do want to see, I'm pretty sure from memory, they want to see that you have a website of some sort. That was the only sort of criteria there. And that will help out with hijackers in terms of getting rid of them if they were to come along. And, just to touch on what hijackers are, for those that don't know, it's basically when someone comes and tries to sell your exact product on your listing, and then when customers buy it, they end up buying it from the other person instead of you. And it can happen once you're more established and once you're doing really well. Welcome, Lisa. So yeah, it's not something to worry about in the early stages. Once you're doing really well, sometimes hijackers come along. Personally, I've never really had many issues with them at all. Like, I've had the occasional person try to sell their product on my listing, but it's normally they've got one that was used and they just wanted to resell it, which is fine. And they make one sale and then they're gone. Not a big concern if you private label your product. So the key is really making your product and packaging unique. Even just making the packaging unique is enough. They may still come along. There's no guarantees in this business, but there's definitely ways to get around it when they do. A good example is doing brand registry and also sending them a cease and desist letter when they do come along. And there's templates for those cease and desist letters that I can send you guys. So what do we got? Mick, if your supplier doesn't do barcodes, where is it best and cheapest to get it from? Cool. Yeah, good question. So most suppliers won't do barcodes. I've never really got a barcode from a supplier. So the barcode issue is actually a bit of a hot topic now. Aiden and I were discussing it the other day, just briefly on text. And to be honest, there's a few good sources. So I've actually got one of these up on my screen right now, which is the the GS1 UPC site. And this is the most expensive one. There's a little bit of controversy going on right now around, does Amazon require an official GS1 UPC, which is definitely a bit more expensive, or can you use any other generic one? To be honest, I'm still trying to get to the bottom of this issue, and there's a lot of hot debates going on in some of the masterminds that I'm involved in. So I'll have to actually give you guys an update on that in the next few days. I'm getting pretty close to an official answer, and at At best, you can just go to any site, but I wouldn't recommend doing that just yet, before I sort of crack the code on Amazon's new stance on this, because they've definitely seemed to change their stance a little bit in saying that they want an official GS1 US UPC instead of just any old UPC. So let me get back to you guys in the next couple of days on that one. I read that you buy these from Amazon now. Not to my understanding. I don't think you buy them directly from Amazon, unless there's been a new development in the last few hours since I haven't, which is not impossible. It's been a little bit of an ongoing saga over the last week. But I'll definitely keep you guys posted on that, and definitely try and give you a definitive answer in the next couple of days around best place to get your UPCs from. All right, any more questions, hit me up. Apart from where to get UPC from, who gets them and puts them on the product? All right, cool. That's a good question. So the way I've done it in the past, and the way everyone that I know has done it, is basically you go on a website and buy them. There's a number of different websites like cheapupc.com and various other ones, and basically you pay $5 or whatever it is, and you download the UPC, and then it's your choice as to whether you put that on your packaging or not. And if you want to put it on your packaging, you just simply send that file through to your graphic designer, and he'll put that somewhere on your packaging. But it's actually not compulsory to have it on your packaging. But what is compulsory is to have a UPC. And what you would do with it is just take the number and put that number inside your Amazon account. So, each UPC has a number, and you'll put that number inside your account just to register with Amazon that you do have a UPC. Again, it doesn't need to be on the product unless you're selling in retail stores. All right. I contacted a company selling UPCs asking about the new changes. They emailed back confirming that their UPCs are GS1 registered at a cost of $5 US. I'm happy to share the site with everyone. Or would you prefer to check it out before, just to be safe, Luke? Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned that one to me the other day, and that seems like it's probably legit. Probably. So before we go and share it, I mean, you're welcome to share it if you want to share it, but well, there you go. There it is, guys. easyupc.com. So that's, we can just even open that up now. My guess is that it's probably legit. I mean, I remember looking at it, they mentioned Amazon and stuff, so probably fine to use this one. But again, I just say just hold off a day or two. Yeah, I'll definitely try and get a definitive answer on this in the next day or two. FNSKU needed for case of similar product. How do I get it? All right, so your FNSKU is a number that Amazon generates for your product. So you won't actually have an FNSKU until you create your Amazon listing. It's basically, it's a number, it's more of a label actually. So FNSKU is Amazon's label that they put on your product when it arrives. So if you choose that you want Amazon to apply your labels, then they'll put it on for you. If you want to put it on yourself, then you actually have to have your graphic designer or your supplier put it on the product before you ship it to Amazon. But I always recommend just having Amazon apply it for you, at least for your first shipment. It costs 20 cents per unit, which, it's not super cheap, but it's definitely the easiest way to go. And in terms of how you get it, yeah, you've basically got to set up your Amazon listing. So you wouldn't do that until you've, locked in your supplier, locked in your product, and you're ready to roll. So in terms of how you get it to give the supplier, the artwork to give your supplier, to be honest, I've never once had my supplier or my graphic designer apply it for me. I've always had Amazon do it. I just feel like it's safer, easier. If you just pay them that 20 cents, it's just nothing can go wrong then. Whereas if you have your designer put it on there and it doesn't print properly, or it's on a surface that Amazon can't scan properly, it's I just recommend for your first shipment, definitely just have Amazon apply it for you. Is it a requirement to have the barcode printed on each package box? No, it's not. No. So you don't have to have it printed on each package box at this point in time. If anything changes, I'll let you know. But at this point in time, you only need the UPC just for that number, so you can manually type that number into your Amazon account. Thank you. It's a black hole and support notes, the FNSQ. That, yeah, there's probably a few of those black holes near. Yeah. In terms of contacting support, it's a really good way to get answers, but sometimes you get stuck with support people that are difficult to deal with, or they just don't speak English that well and they don't really understand what you're saying. So I always try and get elevated when I go to support. So just say, hey, can I speak with the such and such department? And they'll generally try and just answer your question, but you just got to grin and bear it and say, hey, sorry, I didn't feel like you've answered it sufficiently, so can I get put through to someone else? And they'll normally just elevate you to an American who's based in US eventually. I forget, was there a website where I can put my competitor's Amazon listing, where are we, into a search and it shows me the keywords they used? Yes, that's right. Yeah. Well, it'll show you the keywords they're ranking for. So the website, I'll just type it into the chat box, is simple keyword inspector. Don't think I spelled that wrong. Spector.com. So that's a service that you do have to pay a little bit for, but it's basically pay per use. So you can pay you can get $20 worth of credits and basically do a few searches of your competitors to see what keywords they're ranking for. And Simple Keyword Inspector will show you the best keywords at the top, so you'll be able to see how many Amazon searches all the different keywords get, and that's a good way to sort of figure out what keywords you want to use for your own listing. I saw on Amazing Seller Facebook page that lots of people get large shipments to their homes and send it off to Amazon from there. Why? Yeah, so that's normally people based in USA. So a lot of Scott's community, who Scott runs the Amazing Seller, most of his community or the people that follow him are based in the US. There's a lot that aren't as well. There's a lot of Australians and all that as well, but most of them are in the US. So basically you would never do that unless you were based in the US, because the cost of shipping it out to Australia first and inspecting it, it's basically, peace of mind for Americans that say, well, I don't live that far from the Amazon factory. Why don't I just ship it to myself so I can go through it and make sure the quality is okay? And maybe if there's, little flyers you want to put in each of the products, you can do it manually. It's basically just a bit of peace of mind for certain people that live in the US. Cool. No problem. Yeah, so in terms of working with your suppliers, just always remember to build a long-term relationship, and that's what it's all about. So if they're a little bit difficult at first, I always just recommend just grinning and bearing it and just pushing through and just being polite and professional. And remember that you're probably going to work with them for a number of years to come. So just focus on building that relationship. It's really important. Yep, go for it, Aiden. I don't expect you to know, but I'll ask. I've been looking into stainless steel products on Alibaba, but apparently there are different qualities of stainless steel. You're right. I don't know. I'm not a stainless steel expert. I'm not too sure on that one. I'm sure there is though different qualities to a degree. Maybe you could go to a stainless steel expert on that one. Not too sure, man. Sorry. I do sell a couple of stainless steel products, and personally, I haven't really seen any difference in quality. Basically, best bet is always to ship them out to yourself and just judge it for yourself when you get the samples. Alright, so what do we got? Lisa, I know 18 out of 10 is of 18 out of 10 is of good quality for kitchenware. Sorry, I don't quite follow that one, Lisa. So 18 out of 10. So is that 18 and 10? Is that based on the product selection scores? It's a grade. 18 out of 10. Not too sure what 18 out of 10 is, Lisa. Can you give me a little bit more information on that one? SS is a grade. Food grade, marine grade. I'm not too sure about the SS grade. Okay, start again. Stainless steel. Okay, so stainless steel, yeah. Still not sure of the exact question. Not sure what 18 out of 10 means. Okay, I'll definitely try and come back to that one, Lisa. If you can, I'm not an expert in the kitchen category. I do have, I think, one product in there, but I'm just not sure what 18 out of 10 means. Who actually pays shipment from Amazon to customer when they get the Amazon free shipping? Yeah, so that's all covered by Amazon. So that's part of their business model where they basically, especially if a customer has Prime, which is their sort of Prime Amazon membership, Amazon covers the shipping. If the customer doesn't have Prime membership, then the customer will pay for the shipping generally from Amazon to them. So it's never on you, basically, is the point. Is graded, and when you see it graded as 18 out of 10, it's of good quality for kitchenware. Okay, so that's possibly a grading system that I'm not aware of. So yeah, sorry, I don't have an awesome answer for that one. I'm not too sure. 18 out of 10. Not too sure. Sorry, Lisa. It might be something you could post in the Amazing Seller Facebook page. That page is really good for any questions that I don't have a direct answer for if I don't have experience with it. I think it's like 28,000 or 30,000 members in that group now. So if you posted that exact question, there'd probably be 15 responses within a minute. So, or at least within an hour. So might be something for that group. So you don't pay anything after your shipment arrives in the warehouse. Yeah, that's correct. So you pay some fees, Chris, in terms of per sale. So basically, there's a $2.50 fulfillment fee. So that basically takes care of Amazon picking, packing, and shipping the product for you. And that'll be $2.50 roughly if your product is of standard size. If you have a larger product, then you may be up for a more hefty fee on that front from Amazon. So that's why it's important to check what size your product is. And if it's, as a rough guide, if it weighs more than 2 pounds, or if it's bigger than a shoebox, you might potentially be up for some bigger fees in terms of picking, packing, and shipping to the customer. But generally speaking, it's going to be around the $2.50 mark. Does that make sense, Chris?
Yeah, that does make sense. I think it's not as heavy as 2 pounds, but it might be slightly bigger than a shoebox.
Okay. Okay, no worries.
Does that make any difference? Like, are they like they charge you more for the weight of it or more of the size of it?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. So if it gets too heavy, they'll charge you more, or if it gets too large, they'll charge you more. So what I'd probably recommend on that one is just having a chat with support and just saying, hey, this is if you can basically get the exact size and weight of your product and just jump onto support inside your Amazon account and basically just say, hey, this is the size and weight of the product. Is this classed as standard size or is this an oversized product? And if it's an oversized product, then you're going to be looking at some bigger fees. Another way to do it is have a look at what your competitors. So inside, if we go to Amazon, this is probably only going to work with Jungle Scout, but if you type in, what was I looking at? Funny hats, let's say that. Oop. Then, that's a terrible keyword, by the way. Funny hats is so non-specific. But if you hit the Jungle Scout web app, it'll show you somewhere tier. Here we go. So if that says standard, let's see what the terminology is again. Yeah, so you've got large standard, which is still fine generally, and you'll see basically, where are we? The net that they're earning after the fees. These are all selling really cheap. So these are all. So this one here, standard oversized. So if it says over, that's a bad sign. It means they're probably going to be paying more fees. So this product here, what is it? Gray shark hat. Yeah, so it's a little bit bigger. Not that big really, but this one's classed as oversized apparently. So all these other ones would be standard fees. That one that's oversized, probably paying a little bit more fees. What do we got going on? Oh, we got a long question. Is that the fee from estimated Excel sheet you gave us? Yeah, that's right. So that fee will be calculated into the estimator Excel. I think just on that, Nina, I think Jungle Scout just brought out a really cool free profit estimator tool. I only got notified about it a few days ago, so I'm just going to write that down. I'm going to check it out and I'll send you the link to that one. Because I'm sure that's more, profit estimator. I'm sure that's more comprehensive than our little Excel spreadsheet that we're using. Apologies for the confusion regarding stainless steel quality explanation from me. I was just letting Aiden know that stainless steel is graded and grading. Okay, so you're answering Aiden's question. Awesome. Grading system uses numbers. The numbers used to label stainless steel are quite easy to interpret. The two main ingredients used to manufacture cutlery are chromium and nickel. The numbers simply illustrate the percentage of chromium and nickel content present in the stainless steel. For example, 18 out of 10 stainless steel means there is about 18% chromium, and I'm probably not pronouncing that word right, but chromium and 10% nickel, whilst 18/8 means there is 18. Yep, cool, awesome. Hopefully that answers your question, Aiden. I thought that was a question from you, Lisa, and I was like, oh wow, I don't really understand what you're saying. Yeah, exactly. So now we all have a thorough understanding of stainless steel, which I'm sure it's going to be important for some of us. Well, thank you, Lisa. So with displaying the fact that your product comes with tutorial PDF/videos, are we able to display that in some of the images in our listing? I'm seeing, yeah. So basically you can, but at your own risk a little bit. I do it myself on most of my products. I mean, you probably see it on the Vegas One, for example. If you're requiring that they go to a website and enter their email to download the PDF, which sometimes you'll do that, you'll have a little package insert. It might be a little card inside your product that says, hey, to get your free ebook, go to this website and download it. If you're doing that, I wouldn't advertise it on the listing. But if you're going to send it to them as a free PDF with an automated email, which I would recommend you do, then it's okay to advertise it, generally speaking, but you wouldn't put it in your main image. Definitely wouldn't put it in your main image, but as one of your images, you could definitely highlight it. Very sorry, Lisa. Don't be sorry, Lisa. You just educated us all. That was really good. I never knew you were such a stainless steel expert. If anyone has any more stainless steel questions, just hit up Lisa. It's the engineering nerd in me. Yeah, right, okay. If you have any engineering questions, you can also hit up Lisa. All right, so any more questions, guys? Something Nina asked the other day. Haha, it'll cost you. Yeah, yeah. You guys will be charged substantially, but you should get mates rates, I reckon. Something Nina asked the other day was in terms of getting a shipping quote from China to the US. They'll quite often ask, "What's the address in the US?" So what you can do is just give them a generic Amazon address. So basically, the address of one of the Amazon factories, and I posted that on Nina's thread, just an example of one of the Amazon warehouses. So what I do is I send them that address and say, okay, if you were to send it to this address, say it's Kentucky or whatever, how much would it be? And they'll give you a quote. And then when your shipment comes time to ship, you have to give them the actual address, obviously, and just say, hey, it's actually going to this one now. And sometimes they might say, well, it's going to be slightly different shipping quote, but it generally won't be much different. So they just need that that address to generate a specific quote for you, but just make sure they have the accurate address before they actually ship it. So you guys are having a discussion about the Eiffel Tower here. Chris is intrigued to know. It's copper, it's green because the copper has oxidized. Wow, there you go. Getting some science lessons here. Minimum ID on your product package is barcode, question mark. No more needed. Get Amazon to do FNSKU correct. Yeah, that's right. Yep, you just need a barcode essentially, and Amazon will generate your FNSKU for you, as long as you choose that you want to have Amazon apply your labels. Once I'm happy with the supplier's samples, is there something I should consider before giving them the go-ahead? Obviously letting them know the MOQ, but is there something else I should confirm? Something else you should confirm. Nothing comes to mind. I mean, obviously you want to confirm the quality. You obviously want to confirm how much it's going to cost to ship before you decide on a supplier. So you might find that you like the supplier, but they say, hey, we don't actually... So there's different terms. There's basically FOB, which means freight on board. So part of the cost of the unit might include them shipping it to a port for you. So freight on board means that they'll do that. So essentially what I'm getting at is that you want to figure out the shipping cost as well before you lock into a supplier. That's definitely important. You want to ascertain that you guys communicate well and they're reliable. And you generally want to have their factory inspected once they've created the shipment for you. So that's down the road. Once the shipment's ready to go, you want to send out someone to inspect their factory if it's the first time you're working with them. I haven't always done that myself. Sometimes I've rolled the dice and just, because I trust them. Well, I've built a relationship that I thought was, good enough to trust them. But yeah, nothing else comes to mind other than what we covered in the training. If anything comes to me, I'll let you know. But there's, it's basically about knowing all the costs involved. So figuring out the shipping costs, figuring out the labeling costs, all that sort of stuff. Do you have any experience with PayPal? We paid our samples via PayPal. That worked well. We didn't need the World First account so far. Any thoughts? Yeah, you generally won't need World Firsts for that part of the game. In fact, you never will need that. So yeah, samples are always generally best done through PayPal. That's how I've always done samples. So that's the best way to go, Neil. World First is more about maximizing your profits once you start making them. So yeah, that's PayPal is always the way to go for samples in my experience. How are you going to notify us on the changes with the barcode rules? That'll be in the Facebook group, Mick. So I'll post in there in the next couple of days around what I've found in terms of that. Yeah. Any more questions? I'm gonna buy myself a standing desk. So if any of you guys want to manufacture standing desks, you can send me one. I hate sitting down on my computer. So it's pretty much tax time for me and all current Amazon sellers. So you guys have luckily missed that, which is cool. How do you pay your suppliers? So normally with bank transfer. So, I pay PayPal for samples and then pay for the largest shipment with bank transfer. I'd never do it with Western Union or PayPal really. But I'd definitely recommend doing bank transfer. So from your business account or from whatever account you're using, just send it straight to their account. They'll send you their bank details. You'll normally pay 30% up front, and then once they've finished the shipment, you'll pay the remaining 70%. Does that make sense, Nick? Mick, I should say. From your USD account in USD funds. Yeah, exactly. So initially you might not have a USD account for your very first shipment, which is pretty natural. So once you have World First set up and you've got profits coming in, we normally just have Amazon pay into you World First, and then I still don't believe World First will let you pay directly out of their account to your supplier. So the way I still do it is transfer from World First across to my Commonwealth US dollar account and then pay my suppliers out of my Commonwealth US dollar account. Does that make sense, mate? USD accounts are free from CBA. Yeah, so it's right. Commonwealth let you set them up for free. At least they did for me. And then there's just a per transaction fee, which is about $18 roughly, something like that. But if you're sending, $3,000, $4,000, $20,000, $100,000, whatever, the $18 doesn't really matter too much. I was playing around in Seller Central and wanted to set up a new listing to test. At the start, where it says list a new product, it asks search Amazon's catalog first. What is that essentially doing? Yeah, so that's basically if you want to hijack someone, like we were talking about earlier about hijacking. So it's not always called hijacking, but if you had a pair of, say, Nike shoes that you wanted to sell on the Nike listing, you're allowed to do that. So you could list that you want to sell some Nike shoes, or you want, let's say you've got some of my pens, you've got some Vegas ones that you want to sell, and you're like, hey, I've got 50 packs of these. So you'd go in there and create a new product and search Amazon's catalog for my products, and then list it against my listing, which is kind of hijacking a little bit. So that's not actually what you want to do when you set up your products. I think below that there's an option which says add a new product. It's in small writing below that below that section. So that's actually what you want to do, is go to the add a new product instead of search Amazon's catalog. Does that make sense, Aiden? All right, well, we're getting close to the hour. We started a few minutes late, so I'm happy to take a couple more if there's any more questions burning on your lips. I did go through the product categories and started going through the categories, but came to a dead end with the category. I searched my competitor and saw he was under a category, but wasn't listed for me to choose. Yeah, so when you're choosing a category to list your products, sometimes they don't show all the options. It's kind of weird, so in that instance, just choose whatever seems most accurate for you. So what Aiden's saying is when you're setting up a product, it'll ask you for a major category like office products, and then you've got to get more and more specific about what sort of product it is. So you go office products, pens, liquid pens, chalk pens, blah, 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 and you get more and more specific. And sometimes they don't actually show the options that some of your competitors have used to list their product. Doesn't really matter. Just choose something that's most accurate to you. So whatever seems the most accurate for your product. When you list your own product, is that a new listing? Yeah, 100%. Yep. Unless you're hijacking someone and selling a knockoff of their product or something. But yeah, when you list your own product, Mick, that's a new listing. Cool. Awesome. No probs. Does it cost to brand register? No, it's free to do brand registry on Amazon. So once you're established and you started selling, that's just a little process to show Amazon that you're a real brand, and they just sort of give you a bit more respect once you've set up brand registry. It's generally doesn't take long at all. Not a super hard process. Ari Mick, new listing, but an existing category, etc. Is that for me, Neil, or is that a question? I'm not sure. Did you see the article about Amazon looking to remove the recommended retail price? No, I didn't, Aiden. But I do remember vaguely something along those lines floating around like a year or two ago, and I'd be very surprised if they did that. It seems like a bad move on their part. It's just good buying psychology when you have a price comparison. So what I think what Aiden's talking about is, I'll show you, when you click on someone's listing, they have two price options. So this one doesn't, typical. Let's see. All right, so I'm clicking on duds. But if we go to Vegas 1, for example, of course we do. So you can see we got $39.99 crossed out. That's our recommended retail price. And then, the customer sees, oh, wow, I'm saving $21. I'd be very surprised if they took that away. The only reason I could see them doing it is if there was a lot of customers complaining about it, which is possible. It's possible. All right, what do we got? Yes, we add a new product, new listing to an existing category. Yeah, that's right. So every new product has to be added to an existing category. Just mentioned too many lawsuits based around false advertising on previous pricing, but you may be right. Yeah, okay. And if that's the only time Amazon makes massive moves is if customers complain or initiate lawsuits or whatever. So yeah, Jeff Bezos, who's the founder of Amazon, he's all about appeasing the customer, and it's customer first always. So if there is a lot of customers complaining about it, then I'm sure they would consider changing it. But I mean, if it changes, it'll change for everyone, so it's not a big deal. What do we got? How does Amazon know it is our stock when we ship to one of their warehouses, and how do we know which one to ship to? Yeah, so that's a good question, Neil. Basically, when you set up a shipment, so let's say you've decided you want to send in 100 puppy diapers to Amazon, you'll set up your listing, like we were talking about before. So you set up a new listing, and then you'll tell Amazon. So you'll walk through setting up a listing, and I'll actually show you through video form how to create a shipment in the next couple of weeks. But you create a new shipment, and then once you've done that, Amazon will say, okay, we want these sent to Kentucky or wherever it is. They'll give you the exact address, and they'll also give you some box labels. So what you do is you download those box labels, send them to your supplier, and your supplier puts them on top of the shipment. Sorry, on top of the box. So you might have, 10 boxes that each have 10 units in them. So on top of each box, your supplier will put one of these labels. And what that label has is an FNSKU code, which Amazon scans when the box arrives. So let's say you've got 10 boxes, each with 10 units in them. Amazon will scan the box, and it'll instantly say, okay, this is Neil's product, or it'll basically instantly link it to your account. So that's how Amazon does it. They just scan that label, and they instantly know it's your product. All right, so we're pretty much covered the hour. If there's any other pressing questions, guys, in the next 30 seconds, smash them in there, and I'll have a go. Otherwise we'll have another call in the next week or two. And you can always post the questions in the Facebook group too. So a few of you have started posting questions in there, but just chuck them in there, because then when I answer them, or when someone else answers them, everyone can see the answers. So there's a couple of people in there that have got a bit of experience, like Jamal and a few others. So if I don't answer it straight away, someone else might jump on it too. But I'll always jump in there and give my feedback on your questions in the Facebook group too.
Neil.
Yeah.
Thank you. Something cleared up a few items for Mick and I. Well done.
Well, thank you very much. No problem. I'm glad we cleared up a few things. Yeah. Seems like we've got one more question here from Aiden. On that note, if the stock in Kentucky sells out and there's a load of stock in New York, does Amazon send stock to Kentucky to help keep the sales flowing? And are you charged to have it sent from one place to another? Amazon does that sort of stuff all the time, but no, they won't charge you to do it. No, so they basically manage your stock, and they'll quite often ship some of it across the country unbeknownst to you, but no, they won't charge you for that. No. And so long as you have some stock in the Amazon system, that's fine. Doesn't really matter where it is at the end of the day. Does that make sense, Aiden? All good? Yo.
Hey, look, I just one more thing. Can you post those handout papers during to the course? Can you post them too?
Sorry, just cutting out there a bit, man. But did you say, can I post the handout papers in the Facebook group?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Totally can do that. I remember you asked that at the workshop because you're going to be traveling and stuff. So, yeah, absolutely, man.
Got download them and everything. That's always with me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll post those in the group so everyone can access those. Just just the handouts from the workshop there. Yeah, no problem.
All right. Cheers.
Sweet, no problems, man. All right, well, we'll probably finish up there. Aiden said he's questioned out. That shows we've answered a lot of questions. Cool. So, all right. On that note, guys, have a good night and keep up the awesome work. And yeah, cheers, guys. Thanks, Passy and Mick and Nina, Aiden. Cheers, guys. Lisa.
Thanks, awesome.
Sweet. No problems, man. And yeah, if anyone has any engineering or stainless steel questions, make sure you hit up Lisa. Cheers from Russell. Cool. Awesome. Say hi to Russell for me, Passy. Cool. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll finish it there. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.